So welcome to the Inside Out Effect podcast, the still #1 self-proclaimed personal development podcast globally. And I'm your host, Stephen Jakes, the co-founder of Inside Out Effect and healingthemind.co.uk. And in this episode, again, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are coming to you in a slightly different way. From not a normal setup. I haven't got my good friend, as usual, sitting next to me, but he is here with us. And this week's episode is all about pendulums and how positive beliefs can actually cause us quite a lot of problems. But before we go there, before we start, I'd like to introduce my co-host, my business partner, the co-founder of the Inside Out Effect, the creator of the DTO system, the author of the book, Decoding Pain, the Emotional Blueprint to Healing Chronic Pain. Now the author of his new book, the TTO Handbook, as well as the liquid nitrogen jet-propelled rocket engine and the 0-point energy flux capacitor and everything else he's come up with. I've got the wizard from Witham, the Mediterranean maestro, and currently the Portuguese man of war, the awesome and the wonderful, the awesome and the wonderful Jonathan Shaw. How are you, my friend? How are you over there in Portugal, my friend?
I'm very good. I'm good, mate. The Portuguese man of war. I love that. That's fantastic. That's the best one you've done so far. It made me chuckle.
I know. I mean, I've had to throw this one together quickly because obviously we had a guest today who was going to join us, so basically, obviously I phoned her up to see how she wanted to be introduced and all the rest of it. And she got triggered yesterday into quite a bad way. She woke up with a really bad earache and she was really struggling. And and she said, "Oh, I can't do the podcast. Can I do it next week? I'm in a really bad way." She's nearly in tears with this ear pain. And so I said, "Right, stop. What is it you've heard? What have you heard in the last couple of days that's triggered you?" Anyway, it was all about her dad and her dad passing. And I spent about 50 minutes switching that off, and now her ear pain's gone and all of it. She won't cry anymore. She's now like back to her normal self. But she was really tired after getting rid of all of that, all that energy, and she sort of went to sleep. So I've had to throw this together. So probably because it was a spontaneous creation, that's why it come up with that. But
that's brilliant.
you get there's so much now that you're now doing. I mean, I might as well chuck in the liquid nitrogen jet-propelled rocket engine and then.
Yeah,
you're doing that though, mate, really?
Yeah, no, I'm not. No, it's not really my field of knowledge. I don't know about jet-fueled engines or the flux capacitor. Oh, the only thing I know about the flux capacitor is what was in Back to the Future. That's literally it.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, how have you been over there, mate? You still enjoying the sun? I know you've been over there quite a while now, and
still enjoying the sun, still working hard, still treating people. Working hard on the release of the book, which should be happening in a couple of weeks, hopefully, and getting it out to people, and working on that and treating people, and doing other bits and pieces as well, and just spending time with family. So yes, it's been good. It's been hard work, but it's been good.
Yeah, great. And obviously you found your iron because you're wearing a shirt this week, so that's good. You're not wearing a t-shirt, so you found the iron.
I did find the iron, yeah. Well, I didn't technically find the iron, but somebody's obviously found
the iron. Somebody found the iron, yeah.
Yeah, somebody found the iron and hung it up for me, which was lovely.
Okay, well, obviously before we...
today.
Yeah, so anyway, I was just going to say, before we start, we need to make or I need to make a personal announcement from a mistake that we made in the last episode. And and in that episode, I claimed that I'd only received one birthday card. And in actual fact, this is actually incorrect because I actually had received 2. And not only had I received a second birthday card, but I also received a gift as well, which I embarrassingly overlooked. So I need to make the record straight because, and I need to apologise to Rebecca, who is one of my clients. She's one of my regular clients. And she not only gave me a wonderful card, but she also gave me this amazing gift, which I want to show everyone. It's actually a personalised toilet roll. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's how irresponsible of me to forget such a wonderful and memorable gift, a life-changing gift. And yes, so I need to set the record straight and apologise because I actually got 2 cards and a gift. Well, what a wicked gift.
You want to be careful, because if people know you've got a toilet roll, they might be banging around on your door any minute now.
Yeah.
You could sell that and make a fortune.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so I'll tell you why yeah, I could make a few quid. And I tell you what the problem what really happened there was whenever the day come round and have sessions with me, quite often I'll say, can I use the toilet, please? And I'll say, yeah, of course you can use the toilet, but the toilet rolls upstairs, it's 50p a sheet, and and I sort of make little jokes about charging them for toilet rolls and soap and stuff like that. So anyway, so I knew your age. That was her little joke. For Christmas, I got a big box. I got a whole box of because obviously people get quite upset sometimes when they're working with me. I got a whole box of toilet tissues and pens and paper. So I'm really truly grateful for those gifts, Rebecca. And so yeah, so that's the story really. So yeah, so tell me about your what you've been doing over there and work-wise, what you've been up to.
Well, I've been treating different people with different problems. Some varying clients, depression, and somebody else with business blocks, and somebody else with grief. So different mixture of conflicts. I actually just finished treating one lady for body image. She had a really a bad body image of herself that was really affecting her. She's only young, bless her. She's travelled around the world recently, and she just covers herself up all the time because she had this bad body image of herself, and we were able to reduce that by 70% in 4 sessions. So we've literally taken 70% out of that. So she's feeling much happier, much better about her body, much more relaxed, and so she's not thinking about what she has to wear all the time or worrying about people judging her or criticising her. She can just be more herself now after those few sessions, which is fantastic for her.
Yeah, great, awesome. Yeah, so I mean, I know that. So how else really has the lockdown affected you, or has it not really? Have you just been cracking on as usual?
Well, I mean, I've transitioned most of my clients online.
I've had exactly that response too.
Yeah, you have. I sit and go, it very much like Emma Thompson from Sense and Sensibility. Yeah. If you know that movie. Yeah, no, I mean, no, it hasn't really affected my business too much. I just can't do the physical clients. But having said that, I don't know if I mentioned it on the last podcast, I can't remember, but my girlfriend's nan, who actually lives in Portugal, she was having problems walking. She's been having problems walking for years and was told she needed a knee operation. And all I did was show her how to walk correctly. I just showed her correct movement for her lower part of her body and did a couple of physical treatments, and all her knee pain has gone. And she walks absolutely fine now. Whereas before, she was in a lot of pain with her knee. She was told needed operation, and literally a quick look at her, show her how to walk properly, and a couple of physical treatments, and all her knee pain is completely gone.
That's
so
excellent.
It just goes to show how very simple it is often to, just by correcting movement and a bit of body work, how simple it is to correct a lot of pain. And she'd been in pain for a very long time. So she was amazed that all of a sudden she could walk without pain. So that was, especially after what she'd been told. So that was a really good physical success when I'm actually stuck out, I'm inside another country. Obviously my clinic is closed, but I'm lucky that I can treat my clients online for all different types of problems. I did recently, not last week, but I did help someone get rid of her height phobia. She wanted to walk over the O2 for her daughter's birthday, and she was scared of heights, so I got rid of a height phobia for her so she could do it. And she said as she walked up it, because she went with another friend of hers, and as she walked up it, she was looking out the view, and she looked back and she saw her other friend clinging to the side for dear life, and then she realised that she wasn't doing that. And she only realised she didn't have a problem with it as she was doing it, which was quite a revelation for her. So that was quite cool. So that was a few weeks ago that I did that. but I think I forgot to tell people. So yeah, it's been a very mix of different people, different emotional responses, but it keeps me on my toes a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
you?
Go on. You was going to say?
What about you? What clients have you been treating?
Well, to be quite honest, the lockdown really hasn't affected me at all.
No.
Outside of the fact that I'm just getting triggered when I go to the supermarket, but obviously you can understand why and people are how they're acting. But for me, I'm just carrying on exactly the same as normal. I've not, obviously, initially I just switched off all the fear around it, so I've got no fear around it at all. And obviously the benefit of it is I don't watch any news whatsoever. So whatever everybody, so that's why I'm currently just quite happy, quite, doing my own thing, really not bothered about it. I mean, obviously for me, being stuck indoors for, I don't know how many weeks it is now, 7 weeks, is it? I'm thinking about 7, I don't know exactly how many days that is or how many weeks, but it must be getting on for 7 weeks. To be stuck in here on my own consistently can and has been at times a little bit troubling, but because it just gets to you a little bit, but to be quite honest, other than that, I've been really, really great. Other than I got triggered last week because on Facebook I saw a photograph of a situation which it triggered me from the past, and I've had to work through that. But outside of that, really, it really hasn't really affected me at all. The only thing really was that I was looking forward to seeing somebody just before the lockdown was announced, and I was really looking forward to seeing it. So that's sort of like pissed me off a little bit, if because I was really looking forward to seeing that person. But that's the only other thing really. But other than that, I've really just been really creative. I've just been making music. I've just last week created a really nice piece of meditation music, which I put together, which I created from different pieces of music, and I've been working on my new track, which is coming along. And I've also been working with Zoe, who's helping me put together a new transformational program for me and you for when this all finishes. And so I've been putting quite a lot of focus and energy onto that and how that's going to work and how that program's going to help and assist people over a period of time. Not only will it be a case of switching stuff off for people, it's also going to be a mentoring program, because obviously the knowledge that we've acquired through business and through other things, and how this actually works, not just with people with mental illnesses, it works for everything. So that's going to be really good. And and I've got to say that most of the people that have had the most benefit from what I do, I mean, I'll move on to something in a minute, but some of the people just come to me where they're just stuck and there's not really anything wrong with them, but their life's not working for them and they just want to have a better life. They want to just like move on from they're just not happy where they're at, whether they're in a relationship that's not working for them, whether they're in a job that's not working for them, they don't know where to go, what to do. And so I basically, especially with Zoe, she put an amazing testimonial out for me the other day, which I'm really grateful for, but it just really encapsulates what's possible for anybody if they really, really want it and they're prepared to invest in themselves. The problem is we stay stuck in situations, and I say this all the time, is that, we generally make things okay that aren't okay, and we're unhappy. And then the only thing we do is just post negative shit on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever. We don't actually really do anything to change it. We just stay stuck with it. And I say this, change or nothing will change. But if you're not willing, if you don't think you deserve it or you don't want it, you're never going to do anything about it. There's the perfect life for everybody out there, but they've just got to really want it, and they've got to have a desire to want better for themselves. To know that actually there's a better for them. They can align themselves with a better person in their life. They can align themselves with a better business partner, whatever it is. So it doesn't necessarily really have to be coming from a place of absolute despair, destruction, completely like I'm going to end my life. For what I do or what we do to be of really benefit. Zoe was just one of these people that was stuck, and I've seen her life just absolutely take off. But she came to me just feeling a bit stuck. She wasn't in a really bad place, but she's been really committed to working through her stuff, and she has cleared a lot of her past stuff up, but she's also clearing a lot of the blocks that are stopping her moving forward. Most people think that you have to get rid of the past, but there's also these the limiting beliefs. We go back to the beliefs here of moving forward, you know, and things that block us. So I've been removing them for her, and she is absolutely flying. So she's helping me with this transformation program. Going on to clients, I've actually been really quite busy the last few weeks, and I've had a number of new people come to me for a whole host of different situations, some anxieties and some depressions. I've been working with someone who's been having an eating problem, and I've been able to clear all that for them. And it's been really, honestly, I've had some really great results, and in many ways, I'm quite grateful, really, because that is helping me not feel so isolated and alone and abandoned in my own home for this period of time. You know, I get to go out for walks and stuff, but you know, it's, you know, having that lack of connection with people is really, you know, that's the thing I've sort of struggled with. But I've switched some of that off, but it all keep coming back because obviously it's being recycled every day and so. But one particular client, which was actually this morning. I mean, this is a bit sensitive, and but she come to me, and she reached out to me a little while ago before the lockdown, and cancelled because she didn't think she could come to me. And ultimately, what happened is that she reached out to me on Friday after I did a post, and I said, look, I can do this online with you, you know. So I sent her the video of how the mind works. She watched that a couple of times, and I did the session with her this morning. And obviously, after having a little chat with her, I'm like, well, how's things? You know, what is it that's stopping you? What is it you'd like to change in your life? What do you think is causing problems? And we started talking about it. And one of the first thing that comes up was that about 10 years ago, she was in a relationship where she was forcibly assaulted sexually and more or less strangled, killed by the partner. And I was like, okay, so that's probably where we want to start. And didn't really know, because there's obviously a lot of trauma in there. There's a lot of emotions tied up with it and some PTSD stuff going on there. I can't imagine what that must have been like for the woman to experience that. But once I started the process, I actually was able to clear the whole event in about 40 minutes. And and at the end of it, she just broke down and just felt, she was so relieved, because it was creating so much anxiety and other behavioural things in her life. And as soon as I got rid of that, she just literally just had a release of energy, and she just was she couldn't stop thanking me really after that. So she's now realised obviously what's going on for her, and how all these little things and these big things affect us in our life and stop us moving forward, or, you know, or drive our behaviours, that she's now obviously going to continue for a while with that. So I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with that, because that was a really, you know, that was a really big thing, and to be able to get rid of that for that person in such a short period of time, I felt really good about that, and I know that now she's going to go on and you know, crack on now with her new career without those things getting in the way. There's some other things that need to clear, but I think she's going to be fine now. She's got rid of the main thing. So yeah. So other than that, really, I mean, I've just been doing my usual thing, really, just trying to be my chippy, chirpy, cheeky self.
Good, excellent.
Yeah. So we're supposed to be might as well crack on and get on with the podcast now proper, if that's the correct terminology. You know, the Essex boy coming out at me. And so let's talk.
That's not the correct terminology, but never mind. Don't worry about it. We get on with the podcast proper.
Yeah, well, I'm doing a podcast, isn't it, mate? You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, I won't do any impersonations today. So anyway, let's get to the podcast. We're going to talk pendulums. We're going to talk positive beliefs. I have got something here behind me which we can use if we want to, John. But I think it's really good, because I know some people are very visual, and sometimes they might not get what we're talking about. And I know from the last one that we did, I split that up. I think it's quite funny, really, because I mean, we obviously do this to help people, and it was quite funny because obviously that model of the brain is something that's pretty much, it will change your life. It will change the way you look at things. It's a very, very positive thing, and it is very life changing for nearly everybody I know. That when they take that on board and watch it, they really get to understand, you know, where they are in life, why they are in life, and what's stopping them. And to date, I think we've had 103 views on that, okay, in the last 2 weeks. But funnily enough, I saw pussycat fall off of a sofa, and that's had 1.8 million views. So obviously, we're in the wrong career.
We should be doing memes. That's what it should be. That's where we should be in the meme market.
Yeah. I wonder Facebook's full of all negative stuff because I'd rather watch cats fall off of a sofa than find out that stuff. But I mean, I just find it very very strange. But anyway, so we're going to bring this one today, so this is about pendulums and positive beliefs. So and we're all on pendulums. And so do you want? I've done quite a bit of talking here, John. So do you want to lead on with pendulums and positive beliefs and your take on them and how they really positive beliefs can actually be worse than negative beliefs and hold things in place. So I'm going to give you the floor, my friend, and maybe you want to talk to the viewers and just elaborate on that bit.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I used to think, or the way I was taught, that obviously you always look for the negative belief. You always look for the belief that is in the past that's holding you back in life. And through doing DTO and understanding beliefs from a different point of view, from what I call a micro belief, we can actually have positive beliefs about ourselves, which can actually be worse than negative beliefs. First, for a couple of reasons. They can be worse because they're harder to find, because we don't think positive beliefs are a problem. And they can be worse because they can hold everything else in place. So you can be trying to clear the negative, and it's not going because there's a positive in the way. There's a positive belief about yourself. And what the person's usually done is they've usually reframed the situation so that they feel positive about it, but that positive reframe has now become a negative and is stopping them from letting something go. I'll give you an example, and I think I might have mentioned on another podcast, but there was a classic example of a guy I was treating who was a member of a church. I can't remember what church he was a member of, but he'd had this argument with this guy, and it was a big falling out. And we were working through the negative response around it, all the anger and resentment and all of that. But what came out of it was this belief that he was moral. So his response was, "I'm moral." And now that is it's a positive belief. You would think that that's a good thing. I'm moral. And when he told me the story, I couldn't argue that he wasn't correct. I couldn't argue that he was in the wrong in any way. But this belief that he was moral was holding this in place. He kept getting in his head. He kept going, "Yes, but I'm moral. Like I'm moral. I'm right in this." And although he may have been right, actually holding the belief in your head is not good for you. So whether you're right or not should be irrelevant. You shouldn't be hanging on to the belief that you are right and wrong. And because that was stopping letting it go. As soon as I switched that off, then all the anger and resentment, the bitterness, that kind of just vanished and dropped away. But it was just this positive belief that he was moral. And we do it all the time to ourselves. Like for instance, in breakups, with relationships, if someone hurts us, we replay in our head and go, "How could that person do that? I'm such a good person. I don't deserve that. I'm a good person." And that belief, "I'm a good person," actually stops you letting go of the negative response about the person who hurt you, because you are kind of, you're making yourself out that you are better in some way by thinking that you're a good person. So why do I deserve that? And that can really mess up the unconscious mind. Consciously, it probably sounds nuts to people. I mean, I'm used to seeing this all the time now, but consciously to a lot of people, you might say, "Well, that's okay." It may seem nuts, but actually, these beliefs, these positive beliefs about ourselves, actually hold the conflict in place. Another positive belief is that women get into, certainly, and men, but certainly women get into it these days, is "I'm strong, I'm in control, I'm powerful." And those types of beliefs, they can keep you running on a treadmill all the time, working 24/7, never saying no to anything, constantly working, constantly doing things for others, because you believe in you're strong and you're powerful. So you don't ever allow yourself downtime. You don't ever allow yourself to relax. You don't ever allow yourself to enjoy yourself, because of this belief that's in the way. So all of these positive beliefs can actually have a very negative impact on the person that's running it. And
Yeah.
I found that the positive one is often worse than the negative one.
Yeah, I just want to chime in there because going back to where you was basically saying about about being busy because they're a good person. There's also on the opposite side of that is that quite often people will do this as a move away. So deep down they feel really shitty about themselves. They're not good enough, and so therefore they have a positive belief that they need to be doing something.
Yeah.
Because it has a double element. It means that when they're being busy, they're now moving away from those negative feelings. But the negative feelings is giving them a positive belief that if they carry on being busy and they don't think about it and they don't feel those things, then life is currently fine and working for them. So in many ways, you can actually have a double element there of where one is actually pushing the other. The negative belief is driving the positive belief, but actually it's a moving away from. And the other thing as well, which I just wanted to add in, when it's something that come up when we were talking last week, was and this has actually been a groundbreaking mind opener to me because I'd never really put two and two together with this, but it's the I need to.
Yeah.
That I need to be successful. I need to be a good mum. I need to be a good partner. I need to, be honourable. I need to be right. And I sort of understand that. But when you actually think about that, when you connect to the energy of I need to be, that instantly will put a negative strain, that's real demand and pressure on yourself to maintain or ascertain and reach something that sometimes might not be achievable or is actually illusionary, and that can keep you stuck as well. And I know that categorically because there's something that was running for me a couple of weeks back, that what I needed to do. I needed to be able to do this thing. But it was actually the fact that I needed to do it was actually the thing that was stopping me from doing it, because the energy behind that I need to was actually the thing that was sabotaging it. So that the I need to belief is also quite crippling and disabling as well.
It is. It puts a lot of pressure on people, and a lot of overwhelm on people to do something they think they should be doing, and they really shouldn't be doing that. So I've been treating someone who is obviously going through a business crisis in this mad time of ours, and they're going through a business crisis of what they're going to do with their business, and she kind of believes she needs to hang on to this business, and that is stopping her from seeing other opportunities and seeing the next phase by believing she needs to hold on to the past business. And we often do that to ourselves. We think we need to do something, or we have to do something. I hear it all the time in people's language. No, I need to do this. Why? Why do you need to? You're only making it up yourself. There is no need to do anything. And that just, and when I needed to change the world, when I needed to heal the world, that put a lot of pressure on me. It really stressed me out. And then when I wasn't doing it, when I wasn't living up to that, I then used to beat myself up for it, going, "Oh my God, you're lazy. You're not doing anything. You're not healing the world. What are you doing, you stupid?" And I would then beat myself up for this imaginary need that I had to change the world. It was completely insane. And we do it all the time to ourselves.
I had exactly that run in the first 3 or 4 or 5 months, 6 months of doing this.
Yeah.
Because once I realised what I could do, I knew that every single human being in the world can literally have an amazing life, and so I felt like I needed to change everyone. Yeah. And it was driving me nuts because I'm like, I had this amazing new skill and talent, and I can help everybody, and I felt like I needed to do it, and it caused me all sorts of problems, to be quite honest. And we have a bunch of switched off now. I've just come to terms with that. Most people, 1% of people really. So from the people that I know, and just taking my Facebook, for example, I've got 1,000+ people, but around about 10 of those people have reached out to me and improved their life. The others aren't. So you can't really change the 99%. You can only really work with the people that want to. But I wanted to change. I felt the need to change 99%. But,
it's a very common thing that therapists get into when they first. I had that when I first got into it. My energy for when I first wanted to help clients was like, oh my God, I can help you. Won't you listen? But then later on, when I did DTO, people said to me, oh, you've got to put this out there. You need to get this out there. And that need kicked in again. And that really, stressed me to the point of view I didn't want to do it. So take out those needs of things because they're irrelevant. No one needs to do anything. We choose to do things based on either what we believe to be true or whether we want to get in trouble or not, whether we want the consequence or not. There was this great story in a book. I can't remember which book it was. So I've read a lot.
Great book, then. Obviously, an excellent book. You can't even remember the name of it.
I've read so many books over the years. Well, I'm dyslexic, so I've read so many books technically, but not compared to some people. But I've read so many self-development books that they've also amalgamated into one now. But there was this great story about this teenager who was in a sport at school, let's say basketball, I can't remember. And he was in the Champion League. He was in the basketball team at school. But he's also had a maths class, a maths lesson, a maths exam, I think. And the basketball game coincided with the maths lesson. Now, he had to be in the game because he was one of the star players, but he also had to do the maths lesson. And he went to his maths teacher and said, I really can't do this. I really can't do this. I need to do the game. And the teacher, I need to do the game, I need to. And so I can't choose. And the teacher said, it's not that you can't decide which one to do. You don't want the consequence of choosing one or the other. And that's what that does for us. If we say we can't do something, or we need to do something, then we're worried about the consequence of not doing it often. So if he did the maths, the consequence of not doing the basketball would be his coach would have a go at him. And if he didn't do the basketball, then the consequence of that would be letting down all his team players and things like that. He just didn't want the consequence of not doing what he thought he needed to do. But those consequences are generally, normal things.
I mean, I must admit, I doubt you can say the same thing about relationships as well.
Yeah, you can.
People don't want the consequence because of the consequence. If I know this isn't working, I need to leave. And then what you don't do is you choose not to because of the consequences of. So the consequence of not leaving means your life and experience is crap, but the consequence of leaving means that you feel guilty for leaving. So it's the same sort of thing. And I'm not just relationships, but obviously you can talk about jobs as well. That's similar with changing careers as well. But I see that a lot in people, But what I tend to find is that there's a hidden driver there. As I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to be happy. What would everybody else think? I mean, funny enough, this literally goes into a post that I put in on Facebook the other day about, are you living your life to other people's expectations? Are you actually really being the best version of yourself? Are you really living your happy life? Or are you living the expectations of other people's? What other people want of you, what to think, how to feel, who to be, what to have, how to show up in life. And the pressure of that stops you having or being with the person you want to be, living the life that you want to be, because you're living or have that fear of other people's expectations, or the fear of their response, or the fear of the reaction of that. And then people aren't really living their life. They're not living their life at all. They're living everybody else's expectation or version, or the other people's version of you. And that causes so many people to feel stuck and in pain. And again, it goes back to that, what we was just talking about earlier on, about the consequences of not choosing. But then what you do is you don't choose and you stay stuck where you are, and your life is now still the miserable, unhappy life that you're probably experiencing. So So I get that.
So that's that's another thing, and that's another thing. That's quite a deeper understanding of things. I've slightly gone off track a little bit, but that's a deeper understanding of things. Once you start going deeper with your responses, you no longer are clearing out memories or events. You're actually clearing out programs of the way you show up in the world. You're clearing out programs of the way you are around other people that have been embedded for a long period of time. So like the belief you need to do things, or the expectation of others, or the needing love and approval from other people. Once you start clearing those things out of your system, then you start really healing on a deeper level. So that's slightly deeper conversation, but essentially within that there will be positive beliefs about yourself that you aren't aware of that will be kicking up and stopping you from moving forwards because you think something positive about yourself that's not working. Like one of the positive beliefs is that I see in a lot of people is they believe they're right all the time. So because they believe they're right, they don't allow any other information to come into their brain, so they never change it. So the problem with that is that believing that they know everything or they're always right stops them seeking out new information and stops them hearing or seeing the new information when it presents itself in their environment. So that again is another really bad positive belief to have, that you're right or you know everything, because nobody does. No one knows everything. It's impossible. So
yeah, I mean that's a really good point actually, because I think 10 years ago or so, that's where I thought I was. I thought because obviously my mind was the way it was and where I was, but then I come to realise that even all of the stuff that I thought that I knew actually weren't working for me anyway, and I've had to delete all of that because that didn't work for me, whether it was right or wrong. And I don't care about right or wrong now anymore. I don't care. But one of the main things that I find that holds things in place for people when they've got an issue or a situation or circumstance going, and I sometimes might get stuck with a person because I can't find that one last thing that's going to clear it properly, and that is I'm a good person.
Yeah. People believe that all the time. I'm a good person. It's a very common one.
I'm a good person. Yeah. If they believe that I'm a good person, that can really hold so much stuff there. Because if you think I'm a good person, it's actually got a negative connotation to it when it's used in that way.
It has, because on the one hand, their unconscious might go, well, no, you're not really, because you may have done something bad in your past. So you're then trying to fake that you're a good person to your unconscious mind, and that never works. Or it just creates an unfairness in your brain because you're a good person. So why would anyone do that to a good person? And it's then making you a victim. You're now a victim to the problem because you're such a good person, so everybody else must be a bad person. And that goes down to judgment as well, because you're judging why someone's done something to you and making out you're better than that person. And the ironic truth is nobody's really better than anybody. We all have our own blocks, our own issues. We have no reason why someone's like that the way we are. And we never take the time to find out because we're so busy to punish someone or treat them badly for what they've done. We never actually sit them down and find out why they're doing what they're doing.
And we do that based on our beliefs.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So that belief that if you believe you're a good person under certain scenarios, then under a negative scenario, I should say. So if you anchor that belief to a negative situation, that's where it becomes a problem. If it's a positive situation, that's fine. If you just believe you're a good person, you act like a good person, that's great. But if you're believing it in a negative scenario, that's where it's going to really mess you up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I've got some up here, so I don't know if we want to maybe just go on to this. I mean, for example, what I've got here is so this is the pendulum, obviously, and so on the left-hand side we've got negative beliefs. Yeah. On the right-hand side we've got positive beliefs. Yeah. And so what happens is, and what I'd like to say is, every time we have a negative response to something, the pendulum swings. Yeah. We're either going to have a positive response to something, or we're going to have a negative response to something. And like I said in the last podcast, as soon as we have a negative response to any event in our life, whether we're watching the news or we react to anything in our everyday life, as soon as we react, we're on a pendulum. So every single person all the time is constantly on a pendulum of some sort. And those responses will either be negative responses or they'll be positive responses. So when for example, you're put into a situation or have a belief that you might need to do something, or you're presented with something where you might need to do an activity or create something, you might all of a sudden end up having a negative response of I'm powerless. Yeah. Oh, I can't do that. oh no, just the thought of doing it makes you feel powerless. And now you've been swung to the pendulum to the negative. And what we tend to do is once we realise that we feel powerless in that situation, we then know that we still need to do this activity or speak to somebody or tell a truth or whatever it's going to be. But we feel powerless in that because that's been the negative response or the state that we go into. And we realise and know that that's not working for us. So what we'll then do is we'll use force, energy and willpower to push the pendulum to the opposite side, which is where we want to become powerful.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier on, is by reframing the belief of I'm powerless, I'm weak and powerless. You now reframe to say, well, actually, I'm not, and you're going to use force energy. I'm really powerful in order to do that thing. And what happens generally is when we've got these running, we can only maintain that force, energy, and willpower for a certain amount of time until the true belief will go back to the state. So we'll push the energy up here. We'll maintain that for a period of time. We can't hold it, and then we'll crash, and then we'll go back into feeling weak or we're feeling powerless, rather than feeling that, because we actually want to feel strong, and we want to feel, or we think we want to feel strong or feel powerful. And so that pendulum will swing from side to side. But actually, neither of those are actually where we want to be, because actually in the centre here, right in the centre of this pendulum, when it's neither negative or positive, is our natural state. And our natural state is where we feel generally calm, happy, content, peaceful, unfazed, everything's easy. And we've all had that. So we've all had those moments in life where we've gone for a walk and the sun's out, or we're walking along the beach, or we're in a situation where we've not been triggered by anything. Everything just seems to be really, I feel really good today. Everything's just right. Everything feels normal. Well, that really nice feeling positive state that we're in there is actually this middle ground here.
Yeah.
But most people, the majority of people, very rarely get to this, because prior learnings, prior beliefs and experiences will trigger either a negative emotional response or belief, or the fact that they just feel happy and content isn't good enough because they feel they need to be doing something.
Yeah.
Oh, I know I shouldn't be doing this. You need to go out. I need to be busy. I need to be strong. I need to be intelligent. I need to be learning. I need to be confident. And so, depending on what sort of mindset you've got, you might not even be happy just being content and happy and letting things happen naturally. You feel like you've got to use force and energy to push it that way. But again, as much as we force those things that way, what will happen is, as soon as you think that I'm strong, ultimately, the more energy and force we push one way, it's the law, it will go back the other way and you will end up feeling weak. And so the only way to get rid of that is to delete and switch off those negative thoughts, those negative beliefs and those negative experiences and responses. As it is also, we need to delete the positive ones as well, and that will bring us back into this center place where we feel happy, calm, unfazed, and everything. When we're in that middle state, that's when everything works. That's where I've come to now, is where everything just works for me now. It's nothing's an effort. Everything just happens easily and effortlessly. Yes, I do have to I have to take action sometimes and do things, but it's coming from a place of neutral or natural place, rather than a forced or a negative position. So I don't know if you want to go. Have you got anything to say about that, John?
Yeah, once you get to that middle ground and you're just being you haven't got a negative or a positive in your mind about the situation, then everything just flows, because the positive or negative is a judgment as well. It's a judgment about the situation or yourself. And so once you remove those judgments and you're just then clear and just being you, then things tend to flow much better, because you have no judgment about what should be, what shouldn't be, how good you are, how not good you are. You don't have those judgments in your brain. So you just naturally take action on whatever comes up. And there's no kind of glitch or slowing down. It just happens at a very natural pace. And you just take it all in your stride, as if you was just, watching in slow motion. So the place you want to be at is in the middle, but so many people are either manically rushing around, or severely depressed, or trying to be really strong, or feeling really weak, or all these things, they're never actually being them in the middle. They're never actually coming centered and being grounded and just being themselves in the middle. And that's the place where you really want to be at. Once you get to that place, life kind of just works.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because that's certainly what's happened for me. And but I think one of the things that, as soon as I got back to this negative place, I was able to identify that it was the pre-programming of the necessity to be someone that I wasn't, that I needed to be successful, to gain respect, admiration. It was about how big my house was, how big my car was, and you're being gauged on that. And so that's where I fell into that trap massively. That's what caused my biggest downfall, because I was never happy, and it didn't matter where I got to and what I achieved. It just was unfulfilling, and it just felt empty, because the intention was, it's not coming from a place of neutrality and it happening naturally where I could actually benefit and enjoy it. It was a case of a need. It was a case of, I want that. That's going to get me there. It was very egotistical, and in a way, how I wanted other people to see me or have expectations of me. I was living to that. And it didn't matter how big my house was, how nice my car was, how many holidays I had, how much money I earned. And I was really successful. But all of that really was meaningless. Yeah. When I look back now, I mean, it was meaningless.
Yeah.
Because once I actually achieved that goal, it actually just felt, it was empty. You know, there was always something, there was always that one thing missing. And then I'd go looking for the next thing. Well, it's that I need. Right, it's the car now. So I've got to get the car, and then I got the car. Yeah. And after a couple of weeks, it was just a car. And I'm like, all right. And then I'm feeling empty again. It's a feeling of, I need to be doing something to achieve. I need to have that, and I need to have that. And so that for me, was a massive problem, because it was the programming that I felt that if I wasn't doing something, or if I wasn't, you know, I get being ambitious, and I get, you know, wanting to be successful. I'm not saying that that's the wrong thing, but it's got to come from a place of authenticity, not from a place of programmed expectations, or feeling the need to fit in, to be accepted, or for external validation, because that's where your happiness lies. We know that's absolute nonsense, because nothing really exists outside of you. So I fell into that, and I think a lot of people do. But once you get off the pendulum and go back into that natural state, which is something that's everything is just working for me a lot better. Obviously, I'm not where I need to be or I'd like to be, but there's no more pressure on me anymore to compete to be Richard Branson. Yeah. Because actually, it's so hard and so stressful, and it causes so much problems. But what I am finding now is everything's just happening naturally. I'm not really having to do a lot in order to make things work for me. It's just happening naturally. And obviously, when you start getting into the energy work and realizing about the law of attraction element, when you start switching that stuff off, things naturally start coming to you. Then when being in this natural state, it's just lovely. It's a gorgeous place to be. I no longer have to be angry or react to anybody, unless I go to the supermarket at the moment. That's still triggering me a little bit, but but it probably is everybody else. But that's the importance of not being on the pendulum.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, once you're just you, then things flow. And people have a hard time with being themselves. It's not something you do logically. You've got to switch off the pendulum part that's stopping you from being you. You can't do it logically, but once you switch it off, then you go back to being you. But the other problem that people have with being themselves is they think they need to know who they are to be themselves. And that in itself is a limiting belief. You don't need to know who you are. You just need to be who you are. And when you use DTO to switch off everything that's not you, you just start being that person, and then you gradually get to know who that person is. People think they need to do it the other way around. They need to know first. And that's never
the thing is, you said need to know.
Yeah, they need to know. Exactly. They need to. I need to know. And that again, it's the biggest problem. People need things, or I need this, I need that, I need this. And it's all nonsense and insane part of the unconscious mind. But certainly when people want to become themselves, they almost need to know who they're going to be. And they want to check to make sure that they're going to like who they're going to be. Well, most of those people don't like themselves now, so but they often have a glitch in their system. They don't like themselves now, but they don't know who they're going to be, so they're worried about disliking themselves even more. So they stick with the person they don't like now in case the other person's worse. It's like, wow, that's a real mind fuck. That's right there. That's how people's brains work. They can't logically see that the person, once you switch off all the trauma from the person they are now, who they don't like, you'll be a much happier, loving, calm, relaxed person. And how could you not be a nice person with that energy? If you're happier, more loving, more relaxed, calm, that's only going to create a lovely person. It's not going to create a nasty person. But it's hard for people to get their heads around that or see it logically until you start switching things off.
Yeah, I mean, quite a lot of people that come to me, they need to be doing something, or they need to change people, or they need to educate people. Generally comes from a place of insecurity for me.
Yeah.
It comes from a place of insecurity, and therefore, because they feel insecure, they feel that they need to validate themselves or be somebody or project themselves to be something and they're not, just for their own fulfillment, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to say. Yeah, and the other thing that I tend to do is when people say, "Well, I need to know," or the best question is, "Well, why do you need to know?"
Yeah.
When you ask somebody that question, well, I need to do that. Well, I need to be successful. And I go, well, why do you need to be successful? And you just watch them literally go, because they actually don't really know. No. It's just some program in there that they think that they have to be a certain way in order to get, like I said, it's an external validation thing or an acceptance from their parents, or, this is a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's great. So when I ever have that, well, I need X. I mean, why do you need it? Why do you need it? And then you can just see them just go like Crichton did in Red Dwarf. You can just see them, and it will malfunction them because they actually don't even really know why. They believe they need to, but then when you actually get to it, they actually haven't got a clue why. No. And that's the whole problem with this positive belief element, because actually nobody really knows why they need to do anything, like you said just a minute ago. So I mean, just catching another one is where people feel they need to be confident. Ultimately, it's not the fact that they need to be confident, it's probably because they have a belief or a negative belief about themselves that they're not confident, they're unconfident.
Yeah.
And so because they're unconfident, because they don't like that feeling when presented, when they need to just do something, they feel unconfident, they get triggered into that feeling of having a lack of confidence. They will then use energy, willpower to try and be confident. But again, that's now that's your fake self again. That's being fake, and again, that'll only last for a certain period of time, and you'll get found out. And that's why a lot of people get found out in those situations, because they'll be able to do it. They might in one instance go, do you know what, I could do that. And then they do it, and then when they have to go and do it again, they fall over because they can't create the state that they did when they did it the first time. And yes, I do get that. The unconscious, conscious learning element. The more you do something, the better you get, and the more confident you get. Yeah. And then obviously, I don't know if you want to talk about this one, but stupid and intelligent. Obviously, that's me and
you. Yeah, that's another one. So often, stupid people, they'll often try and reframe it that they are intelligent and smart, and the danger of that comes in that because they believe the opposite. Deep down, they believe they're stupid, but they're trying to reframe their intelligence. That intelligence that they're trying to have or be or show off actually just comes out of stupidity because they deep down believe they're stupid. So it's like a dual belief in the system. Part of them says they're intelligent, part of them says I'm stupid. But that stupid part will often win and then make them do or act or say things that make them look or seem stupid when they're really not. So it's important to recognize, if you're feeling negative, check, are you on the opposite end of the scale? Are you on the opposite end of the pendulum, trying to do the opposite of this? Are you trying to get rid of negative by changing your thoughts to the positive? It generally won't work. It generally doesn't work for the majority of people, which is why so many people are stuck.
Yeah, I agree with that. So what would you say about people that think that are trying to project themselves to intelligence because they're stupid? And I mean, what about on the opposite scale?
What when they're stupid?
Well, when they believe that they're intelligent, actually they're not. I know a
No,
few people like that.
no.
I think inherently stupid and intelligence is neither here nor there. Intelligence is logic anyway. So,
Yep.
that's got nothing to do with who you are. Logic is logic. Logic is mathematical formulas, making sense of things, problem solving, blah, 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 which I said in my last video. But when it comes to you, it's actually all about your subconscious. So intelligence and understanding really has no part to play in anything really.
No.
We're taught it is, and we're all very, very good, and we all get awards, and we get commendations from our peers because, oh yeah, Dave, he's really clever, he's really smart, he is. But actually, all he's doing is information repeating.
Yes.
That's actually what's going on.
Yeah.
So I have a issue with information repeating as a form of intelligence, because that's actually not intelligence. It means you just got a very good memory.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
right. That's all that really means.
Yeah, but most people get confused with that. And anybody watching now has probably been triggered the hell out of it, that they've got all these qualifications and they go, I am intelligent, I've got 5 masters, and or whatever. But I see a lot of people mistake intelligence as information repeating, which is just having a good memory. But yeah, so that's probably that's positive beliefs really. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, John, to this. If there's any other areas you might want to cover when it comes to pendulums or positive beliefs.
No, not really. I think we've covered the basics and the main things. That's enough for people to digest right now. A lot of information in there. I don't want to overload people with too much understanding information, because that will just overload the system. So
yeah, okay, cool. So should we call that a wrap for today?
We'll call it a wrap. Although I've heard white men can't rap, so I'm not going to try. Not that I'm racist towards white men. I am a white man myself. I don't think I dislike the white race. Gone completely off subject there.
You're right there, mate. You've probably gone off on a tangent there. You said something, and then you got paranoid that you might have offended someone due to the way that this world works. But in all fairness, you've got to remember, if anybody did get offended by that comment, their response is the problem. It's because they have a belief.
That's right. Yes. I've been trying to explain that to some other of my clients and some people that your response is your response to something, and you are the one solely responsible for it. It doesn't matter what the other person's done. It's irrelevant. It's your response to the problem, not what's happening around you. And some people really think that what's actually happening is the problem. They really believe that. So they don't believe the emotional response can be changed, because they really believe that what's happening is the actual problem. They have no concept that the emotional response is the problem. Yeah. And I sort of feel sorry for those people, because they're going to be very stuck for a long time. Because
you see people everywhere pointing the finger, going, "Look at him! What did he say?" Bless my dad. He's a prime example of that. I mean, he just reaction responds to everything. But what I've tried to explain to him, and I explain to most people, is that actually the reason why you're reacting and responding is because that's your belief about you. You have it running in you. Yeah, because if you didn't have it running in you, you'd be completely oblivious, and it'd be like, oh, it's a bird. The bird don't trigger you. But if a bird had cracked on your bonnet of your car after you'd watched it, and then you saw a bird, you go, bloody bird, and shit on your car, right? It's not, it's because of your response to it, it's your belief. It's a belief. So whatever goes on, whatever response we have about anything to anybody, it's because it's generally going on in you. And if your response is the problem, it is going on in you, you might want to switch that off, because you can't keep going around life just pointing the finger and projecting your version or judgments or beliefs on the world, because you're going to be a very lonely person, because the other 7.5 billion people have different beliefs and different perceptions of that. And so you might want to go and switch that belief off. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay, cool. So I think that pretty much wraps it up
Yep.
for beliefs and pendulums. So
I think next week.
anyone,
I think next week we're gonna. I think next week we're gonna have Zoe on. She's got a lot to.
right,
She's gonna. I think she's gonna come in a fortnight. She's like
right,
a personal trainer. She's the positive health guru. She's an absolute live wire, and I think she wants to come and talk about obviously what she does from a health perspective, and
yeah,
also we're going to talk to her and we're going to ask her some questions about her journey and what working with us has how it's benefited her and how it could benefit other people if they were to do that, and the life change that it's made for her. So we're going to do that next week. So so that's good. We'll probably do that in a fortnight.
okay, cool, brilliant. I look forward to that. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
All right, mate,
great.
right.
So well, that's it, guys, for this week's episode of the Inside Out Effect. Take the glasses off. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have any questions regarding what we do, you can reach out to myself and Jonathan at the Inside Out Effect website, which is inside-outeffect.co.uk. You'll find our details on there. You can also keep in touch using Facebook at our Facebook account, which is at Inside Out Effect. If you want to contact Jonathan regarding anything that we do and we discuss, you can go to his website, which is www.decodingpain.com, and you can contact me if you want to find out more about what I do, how I can help you. Then you can go to healingthemind.co.uk. And if you like this podcast and you want to hear more of the amazing Jonathan Shaw and the humble me, then you can go to our YouTube channel where we've got the last 25 issues online, which is Inside Out Effect with Jonathan and Stephen. So I think that's probably it for now. We thank you for joining. We thank you for giving us your time and listening to the information we've got. We obviously impart this information to help you guys out there have a better life, what's possible for you. And so maybe you can look at how you're acting and how you're living your own life and make those changes that's going to have a positive benefit for yourself, your family, and everyone else around you. So from me, I'm going to say goodbye. Jonathan, is there anything you want to say, my friend?
No, just have a great week, everyone, and we'll speak to you in a few weeks' time, couple of weeks' time, and just stay healthy and mentally, emotionally strong, and we'll all get to do this together, and just hang in there, guys. It'll all be over soon, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be gone soon, and I'll get to meet that special person. So all the best, everybody. Have a really, really great fortnight until we catch you again next time on the Inside Out Effect podcast. So again, from me, Steve, I'm going to say goodbye, and from Jonathan.
Bye, guys. Take care. Thank you.